Rutgers University faculty strike of 9,000 plus part-timers plus grad students affecting almost 70,000 students at the State University of New Jersey is over, sort of.
We move to that breaking news about Rutgers University. The school's first ever faculty strike has now ended. It's over after 5 days on the picket lines. We learned a tentative agreement has been reached.
A tentative deal was reached with the unions negotiating on behalf of the 9,000 striking personnel, and they've come up with significant advances, significant things that they were asking for. Not as much for full-time faculty, a little bit more than they were asking for part-timers, and for grad students, a nice bump in pay.
The unions were looking for an agreement on better pay for school employees to keep up with inflation. The strike caused one of the largest walkouts in higher education and the first faculty strike here in Rutgers history. Now, it is all set to come to an end.
So let's look at the details and let's focus on what this does to change the landscape of the biggest problem in higher education compensation today, and that is how much part-timers or adjuncts are paid to do most of the work at colleges and universities in the United States. So tap the like button and let's get started. Hi, I'm James Callahan, and this is the Do-Over Show, and we love it when things break in the news about, well, adjuncts and higher education and what we can learn and what's changing and how we can see this as something that benefits adjuncts in higher education. The numbers. Most colleges and universities employ almost 60% of the teaching faculty to teach as part-timers, one course or multi-courses or temporary workers or contract workers. And at most schools today, almost 70% of all the coursework taught are taught by people who are non-tenure track faculty. That means that schools have the significant benefit of paying people marginal rates in order to accomplish things that they used to have to pay people big money to do. Now, the unions at Rutgers, the three unions representing the 9,000 people that have left on strike, well, they call it it's not over yet. They call it a suspension of the strike, not a cancellation, suspension. And there's a big difference.
Agreed to the framework of a tentative deal. The deal would consist of new contracts to provide better pay and job security for both full and part-time faculty members. Now, members of the union must still approve the final contract agreement, and the conversations will continue this upcoming week.
They said, "We have secured profound victories for our unions, but some issues remain unresolved and leave open the option of returning to the picket line if we aren't able to reach suitable resolutions to what we're bargaining for." Okay, here's the official word from President Holloway of the State University of New Jersey, aka Rutgers. Here's what he said. Rutgers University has reached the framework on economic issues for new contracts with several of our faculty unions, ending the week-long strike. First ever faculty strike at Rutgers in its long and illustrious history. Interesting. Most important, closure of the framework will allow our 67,000 students to resume their studies, go back to school right away, so that they'll be able to finish and end their academic year successfully. Okay, the details from the president read like this. The agreement on new contracts will increase salaries across the board for full-time faculty by at least 14% by July 1st, 2025. So they'll take a gradual increase of 14%. Good. Further, we will provide a 43.8% increase in per credit salary rate for part-time lecturers, adjunct part-time lecturers, over the 4 years of the contract, and at the same time significantly strengthen their job security. That is, they're going to give some multi-semester or multi-year commitments. We'll see the details from the union in a minute. Additionally, that will increase the minimum salary of postdoctoral fellows and associates by 27.9% over the same contract period. They'll wind up with about $40,000 annually after they get to the point of 4 years. The contracts are retroactive to July 1st, 2022, nice, and will provide substantial retroactive salary payments, lump sum payments. Now that's the bonus because that kicks them up over the cost of the rate of inflation. And that was one of the reasons why they were striking in the first place, and that is the average raises guaranteed by Rutgers didn't keep up with inflation. And then the president goes through the coursework. They're telling the faculty, please be flexible, let them finish. That is, try to finish the course on time. Don't penalize them for the strike. Registration and exam schedule, great, that's going to happen. Commencement, we're planning, we're going to March, it's going to be great. And we've also had an increase in requests for counseling because people have felt a little anxiety and insecure Why? Because these are people highly invested in finishing their semester, finishing their degrees, finishing their grad work in a timely manner, something that's very expensive to them, and all of a sudden this strike put them at jeopardy. Yeah, they're the ones that end up paying, with the anxiety level jumping exponentially and the requests for counseling increasing. So they will increase their strike response in their counseling programs. You see, that's the part of strikes that faculty and unions trying to gain what they think is deserved. And in most cases, most people would agree. But there is a price to be paid, and it's always paid by the students. Okay, now here's the good news from the union representing the striking faculty. And they have 18 tentative agreements on select union contract provisions covering many of the core issues. The framework, they've agreed to review this, and they've suspended the strike, not a cancellation, they emphasize about 3 times. And if we don't secure the gains on the open issues through bargaining in the coming days, we will resume our work stoppage. So the school is going to try to drag this out until commencement, get that in the books, and then they can play hardball again over the summer months when fewer people are impacted by this. Well, except for the grad students and those teaching summer courses. All right, here are the basic agreements. For full-time faculty, they're going to have a 1-year flat increase of $5,100. Year 2, they're going to get 3.5. Year 3, they're going to get 3.25 merit increase. And year 4, they're going to receive another 3.5% increase. Good. TAs and graduate assistants, year 1, they're going to move to 34 to 35 to 36. Eventually, year 4, they're going to make 40. Part-time lecturers, okay, here's where the adjuncts make things happen. Year 1, instead of their last contract year making $5,799, they're going to get a bump to $7,530 for a 3-credit class. It's going to go up to $7,788, then $8,055, and then it's going to reach the bigger amount in 4 years of $8,331 for a 3-credit class. Okay, here are the other agreed to provisions of the 18 that the union highlights, and that would be union representatives, grievance and arbitration, a longer time to appeal the denial of tenure for tenure track people, university policies about language negotiation, that is how the faculty is going to have a role in negotiating future changes that the board and the administration wants to make. That's a constant refrain in higher ed strikes. Then you get to the part-time faculty, Article 11. And here's where the details really get sticky. Now, I've said before that the status of part-time faculty or adjunct faculty is one of the most easily exploited and most difficult areas to make any move, to move the needle in higher education. This proves exactly what my point is, and that is most of the provisions that they're struggling with have to do with how they're going to treat part-time faculty or adjuncts. So the Article 11 about professional development, nice. We'll give them a little money so that they continue to write and research. We'll give them a $300 stipend so that they can do some extra research. Great. Article 7, department provisions, they want office space. Great. They want a space in a basement of some old smelly science building. Congratulations, you got it. Article 8, personnel files. This could be access to their personnel files and notes made about their hiring and retention or considerations. Might be some transparency. That's what most people say it is. Article 5, grievance. That is when they don't get their course that they want, or they get their course canceled because of a low enrollment number or because of timing of the course. Could be all those things. Article 6, appointments. Establishes 2-semester appointments for part-time lecturers. Yeah, instead of agreeing to 1 semester, we're going to agree to an academic year or 2 semesters for you. Yes, it's an increase. I work semester to semester. After 20 plus years at the same university, I still get a contract a couple weeks before the class starts, and that's the way most adjuncts work. Now, full-time union and faculty that work on full-time basis, not teaching a course or 2 like I do and like most adjuncts do, they get year-by-year contracts. But for part-time faculty, the first step is going to be giving them a 2-semester appointment. So you're going to know in the fall what you're teaching and in the spring what you're teaching, and you'll get a contract that states that rather than just waiting to the beginning of each semester. 2 years for part-time lecturers at different levels, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's a graded system for those who have experience or tenure tenure. That is, they have more recognized experience. Or maybe they hold a Ph.D. rather than an MA in their field. Great. And a 4-semester appointment for those teaching at Rutgers for 12 years or longer. So if you've been an adjunct or part-time lecturer at Rutgers, and you've been doing it for more than 12 years, instead of giving you 2 semesters, they'll give you 4 semesters. Okay, what that does is basically recognize that they have used you every year nonstop for 12 years or more. And so what they're going to give you is not a big concession. They were probably already planning on you continuing to teach. They're just going to say, we'll get you for this year and next year. Will you agree to that? And that's the contract they're going to give you ahead of time. Some people think it's giant. I think it's really just recognizing the obvious and giving them what they already are tacitly giving them and keeping them for 12 years or longer. But hey, it's a great accomplishment everybody should celebrate. Sort of. Okay, here are the things that are unsettled that could derail this process in the next couple weeks before commencement or definitely over the summer. One of them is academic freedom, recognition of work, diversity among the faculty, pay equity, TA and graduate assistant 5-year funding agreement, that is, they want it extended, parental leaves, those are ordinary labor policy things. Sabbaticals, sabbaticals for people, they want to negotiate that. Who do you think that applies to? Yeah, it doesn't apply to part-time faculty. It doesn't apply to people like me. It applies to people who already have job security and they just want to work out a different sabbatical schedule. So what do we get out of the great strike of Rutgers University? The first in their history, 9,000 faculty and others affecting 67 to 70,000 students. What do we get? We get a recognition of pretty ordinary part-time or adjunct faculty compensation levels. We do get a bump from about $6,000 to $8,000 to $8,500 over 4 years, which is just above the increase of current inflation rates, but it's over 45%, so that's a nice bump. So that's a recognition that they're bringing them more in line with cost of living. Remember, cost of living is different than taking the amount of money that a university would pay a full-time faculty member and dividing it among 1, 2, 3, or 4 other part-time faculty members and paying them 1/4 to 1/5 of what they would have to pay a full-time tenure track employee. But nonetheless, these are advancements. How much are they advancements? Well, my take personally is that they're this kind of advancements. Yeah, this kind. They haven't done more than recognize the status quo, and everybody is celebrating it. Everybody except for me. So tell me what you think. Tell me your take. Maybe I'm just being too pessimistic. Maybe I've just seen too much of the downside of giving little things and celebrating them as large for adjuncts. So add your comments below. Tell me what you see in the agreement or in the adjunct world that gives you hope that there might be change ahead. And thanks for being part of the Do-Over Show. Please, while you're down there leaving your positive and optimistic comments, could you tap the like button, because it really helps someone like me. And how about you consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. I'm so glad you found me and I found you. Thanks.